What's up, guys? So I wanted to share with you the KPIs that I track and just kind of talk you through why I track these ones, and also if you want to use the same system I do, I will upload some sort of link so you can make a copy of this same sheet. Also, in my last video, I was playing with my new microphone and I didn't really like the way it sounded, so I'm trying to wear it down here almost like a hanging nipple ring, so we'll see how it sounds this time. KPIs are key performance indicators. In other words, how do you keep track of the pulse of your business? If you think about when you go into the doctor and you get hooked up to all these different monitors so they can track your heartbeat and blood pressure and oxygen levels, and these are all things to know, are you doing okay? We have sort of the same thing in our businesses, and these are the metrics that we track to just see how healthy the business is. Now, if you're like me, tracking these numbers can be something that can fall on the back burner because they don't get you anywhere. And as far as like on their own, like you can use them, but when you're running a gym, especially when you're new and you're just starting out, it's very easy to feel a little overwhelmed by all the things that you have to do. And you've got your marketing, you've got your teaching, you've got things that put food on the table for you. And then you have tracking your metrics. And if you take the time to track your metrics, there's really nothing to show for it at the end of the day other than just numbers on a spreadsheet. And so it can be easy, or at least it was easy for me, to ignore tracking. Also, when you're new, you kind of already know your numbers because you can count the students you have on maybe two hands, and you're probably doing most of the teaching. Everything is kind of close to home, so it can feel a little like a waste of time to track your numbers. But there is a point where you do need to start tracking them, or things get a little too chaotic and messy. And my guess, because I wasn't one of these, but my guess is if you were to track them from the very beginning, it would be a lot easier to figure out the systems and the routines to be able to keep tracking them ongoing as your business grows and gets bigger than what you can just kind of keep in your head. In the last video, I did share a little bit of my $16,000 mistake that really lit a fire under me for keeping track of my numbers. And that was, I had hired an agency to help me. They gave a promise that you would make a certain amount of money within a certain time frame with them, or else you get your money back. And the upfront payment was $16,000. And so I paid it, but because I had never developed the habit of tracking my numbers, I still did not track my numbers. I just sort of assumed that I could always go back and get the numbers. But if you leave things for too long, they start to kind of knot up. If you throw wires into like a drawer, somehow they magically just like intertwine, and you pull it out and you've got like this ball of wires that it's like, how did this even happen? That's kind of what happens with the numbers. It doesn't take long before the numbers are hard to track down, hard to figure out. You're too far removed from the events that you're trying to record. So with this agency, I did not get the results that were promised. But because I had not tracked my numbers, I couldn't go back and show this. And so I was out the $16,000. And that was like a gut punch, especially because it was right around the holidays. That's when gyms are struggling already. And my wife had just had a kid. Like, we just brought a little kid home, our first kid, which you can see. We are definitely kid people now. You know, he's 4 years old now, but when this first happened, he was a brand new baby, and I really felt like I had more than just let my family down. I mean, I had taken $16,000 of much needed money from our account. And like I said, that lit a fire under me. I've been running my gym for almost 16 years now, and it's only as a result of this incident about 4 years ago that I have been like 100% on my numbers. So I want to share with you what numbers I track and how I track them. There are probably things you could set up to put in the numbers automatically for you, but I do feel like there is something about needing to put the numbers in yourself that is important. If you've ever had, like, I had mint.com, which was this website that would track your finances, and you could just connect your bank to it and it would just track everything. And at any time you could look at pie charts and graphs of your finances. And because it was so hands off, I never really was able to use it in any meaningful way. At least for the first 3 months, do everything manually, and then maybe start to automate some of the pieces if you feel like you should. My wife runs the nutrition coaching side of what we do. And one of the things she has her members do is weigh themselves every single day. And a lot of times we get people that go, oh, I hate weighing myself. I really don't want to do it. It makes me so anxious. And she does a really good job of explaining to them that if you only weigh yourself every once in a while, like whenever you go to a doctor's office, then there's been this big gap of time where you haven't really kept track of your weight. And chances are you're going to get on the scale and you're going to be disappointed in the number that you see. And it is going to make you feel anxious. But if you can get yourself to do it every day, then what happens is within a week, you stop even like really worrying about the numbers. Like you'll see it fluctuate up or down just a little bit, but you'll kind of just know what they are and you won't feel that anxiety. You also just kind of learn what the flow of your weight is like. So you'll kind of learn if you eat a lot of carbs on a certain day, you'll see your weight spike and then it'll come back down the next day. And that's sort of the same of what you'll find as you start tracking your numbers. If you do it every day, you'll have some disappointing days. You'll have 3 people cancel on the same day. You're always at least going to have the peace of mind of knowing how your business is doing, and it's never going to swing wildly in one direction or the other. So if as a business owner, you struggle with any anxiety around the business, tracking your numbers is going to start to allow you to have peace of mind. Not to mention, it's also going to allow you to start to plan out what strategies you need to do in order to grow your business. So do this primarily for your peace of mind. Do it to help you with planning and strategizing. And then also do it because it's an easy win every day. When you plug in those numbers, get that dopamine hit, and you feel like you're already getting some wins in the business, and then you just keep that ball rolling with whatever else you need to do for the day. So there's my little ramble, my little bit of advice. Let me share with you the KPIs that I track and how I track them. And I think this will be very unique to anything you've seen before because I think I've come up with a pretty cool system. So here's one of the tracking sheets that I was taught to use. And I would use it, but I would still feel as lost after tracking as I did during tracking. I couldn't really see any relationships to a lot of the numbers. I could see the leads we were getting, the sales, the front end, but it still all looks so just scattered and all over the place that it's hard to really do anything with this. And so what I designed for myself, and I'm very proud of it, is this. And so what you're seeing here is it's almost like, imagine like a snake. So if you take each of these members, and I'll break this down, but I'm going to go down to one of these green ones. So you take this member, and right here you have December, and this is based on how long their membership is set up for. So this person here, their membership is set to expire on the 8th of January. And if they renew, then I'll just pull this out until the next one. So the green and all the ones means that their payments are taken out weekly. The blue ones are the people who have paid in full. This gentleman here is paid up all the way through almost to March. I'll go down here where I add new members. So these 3s, these are people on a trial of some sort. So they're not actually members, but hopefully they will be. So these are my trials, and the numbers are only there so that I can have a thing that when I put it in, it makes it that color. So see, if I take away that 2, then the blue goes away. If I put in a 1, then it turns green. So these 4s, which this is set up that way, see if I take that away, if I add it back in, this just means that they're on hold. Now I move people that are on hold up to the top here so that I can see everybody that's on hold. and they don't get counted as my active members. And then when they go off hold, then I grab them and I move them back down. So like this person that we were just looking at came off hold on the 10th. So that's why I put him back down, because it is December 12th. So that's how this works. Then if you go up here, you'll see the EFT. So that's the green. That's just the people that are paying weekly or monthly, however I've got set up, but it's just ongoing. That's how many members there are. So it just counts up how many of these ones are there. And then the people who are paid in full, that's what this number is. And so that just counts how many twos there are. Then front end offer. So that tells me how many people we have on a front end offer. And then finally, how many people are on hold. And then up here is our active total. So this just takes the people on EFT and the people who are paid in full and puts it together. And then last year's total is right above it. So this is how many we had last year at this time. Then if you come over here to the names are in alphabetical order. This R that you're seeing over here lets me know if they've left us a review. If they haven't, then I'll go through and ask them, hey, would you mind giving us a review if I have a good interaction with them? And then up here, these are people whose cards recently declined, and so I need to get payment from them. So that's where I put declines. And then right here, this number is our LTV, lifetime value. In other words, how much does the average member pay us? And so it says $1,900. In other words, if I get somebody to sign up, chances are I'm going to make about $1,900. Of course, some people, they'll cut after they pay us $500, and some people will stick around for many years and pay us $10,000. But on average, I know every member that I get, I'm going to make about $1,900. And that's helpful for planning like marketing. I know that I can spend up to $900 to acquire a member. So if I run ads and I spend almost $2,000 to get somebody in and to join, then I know I at least broke even. Obviously that's not ideal, but that gives me a number. Now, one thing on here is this is actually a little bit low. And the reason for that is I only put this number in when the person has canceled their membership. And so we've got people who have been members with us for almost a decade now. And so they paid us probably around $20,000, I would guess. They're not counted in here. So now scrolling down the page, you can ignore this. This is just a guy, he's supposed to start his membership back up on the 14th. So I just kind of put a 1 there so that I knew when his first payment was supposed to go out, but I'm not fully trusting that he's going to be ready again. So I've still got the number that how much he's paid us so far there. If his card does go through, I will delete that number because he will be an active member. And so the number will be continuing to grow. That's kind of the same with this person too. She's a past member, and that's how much that we made when she had canceled. And then she is now trying a free week again. So if she ends up joining, then I'll delete that number. And then right here, these are my private lesson people who do not train classes at all with me. I have a lot of private lesson people up here who are also members of the gym, but I have some people that just pay for one-off lessons. They buy packages of 10, and every time they do, I just update this number here. That's pretty easy. And then finally, down here are all the people who have canceled. So when they cancel, I put how much we made, and then I pull them down here. The ones that don't have any numbers next to them, that just means that maybe they did our free week and did not join. So there's no number to add to that. But yeah, so you can see we've got some people like there's a 6,000, 2,000. So yeah, a lot of variability, almost 8,000 there. But then we also have people that only paid us 410, 149 before they canceled. So yeah, that's how I keep track of it. I found that when I look at this, I feel like I understand what's happening in my business, whereas I don't feel that way looking at the other numbers. Now, what I will do is I will take these numbers and then I will plug them in to here. So you can see right here, I take those numbers and I plug them in here. So I do have a snapshot of the month. I just don't find that this is the easiest way to keep track of what's going on. I feel like this is where the magic happens, so to speak. You can also go back in time. So I can open this up and that's all of 2025. Or I can go back here and open that up and go back to 2024 and so on. So yeah, boop. Okay. So in full transparency, let me go ahead and give you a walkthrough of the health of our business right now. So as of yesterday, and I always update this up to the prior day because I don't really know. Maybe we'll get a new member today. Someone will walk in and just want to hand me money and join right then. You know, when I wake up on the 12th, I do all of the numbers up to the 11th. I haven't actually done these today, so we'll actually go to the 10th. So as of the 10th, we have 2 members more than we did last year. I'm always a fan of trying to get as much money up front as you can because you don't know what the economy is going to do. And so there's no guarantees that if somebody signs a contract that you're still going to make the money that's promised. So trying to get paid in fulls is always what I lean towards. But with that said, so we have 74 members that are on EFT, so they're just on recurring payments, 34 that have paid in full. And paid in full is, the minimum is 3 months. So we've got people that pay in full for 3 months. We've got 7 front-end offers, people on a front-end offer, and then 12 people on hold, which is a little high, but it's around the holidays. So sometimes it gets as bad as almost 20 people on hold. My goal is to stay above 100 active members, but I would really like to get it up to 150 that's where I really feel like the gym is at its best. Okay, so I do have one more set of data that I want to share with you. And unfortunately, this month, the numbers are not as good as I was hoping they would be. But so Google My Business, that's sort of your front door to your website. That's where most people land first if they find you on maps or whatever. And so I've been tracking what kind of numbers that we've got. And you can see it goes back as far as January of 2022. So these are all the things. So total interactions, and then here are the keywords that I'm tracking. These are all the kickboxing related ones. Here are the ones Muay Thai related, Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA. Okay, and so I just go through at the end of each month and I put in how many people found us through each of those terms and how many interactions we got total. And then this is the sum of everybody that found us through kickboxing terms and so on. So you can see our numbers went up really high towards the end of 2022 and at the beginning of 2023. But then they've steadily started to drop. I haven't been as great with my SEO as I should be. And so I've been dropping the ball on these. The pink obviously means that it's doing worse. So if it went down from the year prior, then I put it in pink. And if it went up from the year prior, I put it in green. So you can see at the beginning of the year, we had some higher numbers, but overall our interactions were low. Very true in February, even though we had some higher numbers in some of these. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to go through each of these, but you can see how the numbers are fluctuating. But then you can see that here in August, we started to really gain some traction. And September, we gained a lot of traction. October, good traction. And then November, it fell off. And I think the reason why is we just changed our primary phone number. And that's a kind of a big thing to change. So I think that just kind of spooked Google. All right, guys. Well, so that's everything. I'll put a link to this KPI tracker in the description so that you can make a copy of it to use for yourself. Please comment. Let me know what you think of this. I'd love to know how many people I've got that are watching these who are either planning to start a martial arts gym or are running one themselves, and kind of how long you've been doing it. Obviously, these videos especially get very few viewers, so if you leave a comment, I'm going to read it. I read all my comments anyway. I've got a small channel, but these especially, I'll definitely be reading. So please go ahead and comment and tell me a little bit about what you've got going on. And I hope this helps. Anyway, all right, guys, all the best. Bye, bye, bye.